Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Growing Social Now. I am your conversation host, Barbara Rozgonyi, and I am so glad you're here to join me in what I know is going to be an absolutely epic conversation with my friend, Katie McKiever. Hi, Katie.
Hello, Barbara. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I think the first time I met you was probably at a Social Media Charlotte event, and we were actually on a panel. I think our theme was storytelling. And I was really impressed by the way you just walked in. You had great answers. You have such an air of confidence that you just really seem to be a person that people can trust. You know what you're talking about, and you get results. I've been following you, and that was back when you were working for a big company. You've gone off on your own. You're growing your own big company. And I'm just really excited to talk to you about social media and where we're going.
I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much. That's nice of you. We do go back years, and I am really excited to know you, and I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, well, then let's get right to it. So I know that you've been doing a lot with TikTok, and short form video is really, really exciting. When I moderated a panel back in February of 2022 for AMA Chicago, one of the things we talked about was TikTok, and the organizer said, make sure you bring it up. And so I went so far as to say TikTok is going to take over social media. Now, that was about 6 months ago. And I think probably I read that, all the signs were pointing in that direction. So where are we now? Would you say TikTok is taking over social media? Is TikTok short form video, or is it something we need to look at for other channels as well?
Great question. So short form video encompasses TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and Pinterest idea pins. I might be Snapchat. A lot of different platforms are utilizing the format of short form video. So that's what I mean when I speak of these types of videos, is that they can be placed in multiple different places, multiple different platforms, which is very exciting. So if you learn the skill, which it is a skill, it's kind of an acquired thing, it's very different than a static image on Instagram. It's very different than a text-heavy post on LinkedIn. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of marketing. But if you can get this style down, you are good across platforms, because almost every single major platform is giving preferential treatment to this type of format and this type of content. So learn it once and play it everywhere. So yes, to your question, short form video, TikTok specifically, Instagram Reels specifically, those are the two major players you're thinking about when you think of short form video. They're taking over. I think it's pretty easy to say that, Meta with Instagram is the heavy hitter, right? TikTok, right, up and coming heavy hitter. They're going neck to neck. So they have to figure out who's going to rise to the top, and where this is playing out in the land of short form video with Instagram Reels and TikTok.
So you just have to be in the game, even though we're not sure exactly where it's going to go. Because didn't TikTok kind of influence Instagram so much that they changed everything? And then I saw your tweet and read your post on LinkedIn about how Instagram actually responded. So what do you think about influencers? I mean, we think about, these platforms as being off their own, but the Kardashians are kind of like, very influential. What do you think about that?
When you're talking, it's very fascinating with how influencers back in the day, 5 years ago, I think was the heyday of the quote unquote influencers. And that progression has really kind of morphed into this term creators, I think. I think both platforms are really giving rise to this kind of all-encompassing word, creators. And it's very interesting because, Adam Mosseri, head of Instagram, we're talking about Instagram changing and tweaking almost as we speak to try to react to TikTok, and then try to react to blowback that they're getting from their core user base. So, they're wanting to push the envelope, but also keep the people they have happy. It's this very fine line that they're walking with that. But when you're talking about influencers, 5 years ago, I think it's all kind of morphed into this term creators, and meaning that all these platforms now are catering to creators 100%. Gone are the days. And I have come from, a news background, broadcast news background. I was in healthcare prior to stepping out on my own as a social media consultant. I was in healthcare for 5 years. Prior to that, I was inside a broadcast TV newsroom, being the social media manager. So I had a very, news focused stance on social media. Now things are going away from news because I think they're all taking a step back from the politics, from the kind of misinformation that can happen when they cater to news stations. There were Facebook groups I was in that was led by Facebook, specific for journalists, specific for news outlets. They had very much a focus to help content from media outlets to help them perform well on Facebook's platform. And now I think they're doing a big hard step back, saying, I don't know if that's the route we want to go, because it gets really, really tricky when you're trying to regulate misinformation, news information that goes out on these platforms. Yeah. So I think they've corrected to go into this creator land, to go into the entertainment, to go into the, cool different things. And yes, that's always been there. The Kardashians have always been there. These big, kind of younger generation, with the hype houses and the content houses and the content creation houses. Yeah. All of that is played out, and all that has really, really, kind of boosted TikTok in a lot of ways, which is overflown into Instagram. But I think, the heads of the platforms that be are really leaning into those as well, because they're safer. Creators are safer than news, giving a lot of resources to news and having that be a core piece of the content that plays out on their platforms. That's really what I think the undertone is of a lot of this. So that being said, they're giving a lot of power to creators. They're putting the power into the hands of the creators with all of the additional funding that they're doing. They're doing creator marketplaces, on TikTok. They're doing, creator marketplaces on Instagram. All of these platforms are giving ways for creators, or they are going to be giving ways for creators to be able to directly get money from the content they put out onto their platforms. So before there were, influencer brand deals, which still continue to play out, still continue to happen all the time. But now, the platforms, Instagram, YouTube really does this very well with all the royalties that they dish out on YouTube. I think YouTube is a premier platform when it comes to paying their creators and paying the people that really well. Yeah.
And they were the ones who started it, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And now, TikTok was early to this when we're talking about short form video. And I think there's something left to be desired with that, with the payment plan that TikTok has. I see a lot of controversy around that, and also just a lot of people not really happy with it from a content creator standpoint. But still, they are trying to give a payout and give a handout really to creators, just like Instagram are, of saying, hey, please stay on our platforms. Please keep creating content on our platforms, because we're trying to keep eyeballs on our platforms. And they know that eyeballs are really gravitate toward this fun, I would say fun, creative creator content. And so that's the hand that Instagram and TikTok are playing right now, is this creator. It's a creator economy. It's a creator marketplace. It is a creator centric social media world right now.
Wow. So how does that apply to businesses? Should they try to be a creator? And then another question is, what tips do you have for these short form videos? I mean, how do you even get started?
Well, those are two great conversations to have. So from a brand standpoint, it's tricky. It's very, very tricky. I think, and again, back to Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram. I mentioned his name a lot because he is very proactive in his communication about what's going on the platform that he runs. And I think it's really refreshing, to be honest. I don't think we get a lot of that from other platform leads and from other platform heads. So that I like, but he does, he does, get in trouble there sometimes. But with that, he has directly stated that, brands don't get as much play as creators. So there are ways that you have to be creative from a brand standpoint. I think it is putting the power into your people, really, when it comes to a brand. Yes, more times than not, you need, really, I would be hard pressed to find an instance of a brand not needing a social media presence, but more times than not, we know if you're a brand, you need a social media presence, right? In one way, shape, or another.
You can choose not to have one, but your competition will. So you pretty much are just cutting off all kinds of possibilities, everything from HR to branding. So you've got recruiting is a problem now, sales and marketing. So the brands that, I think there's a couple of problems. I don't know if you'd agree, but either they decide to be muted or really, really toned down. So you really can't find them. And would you agree?
I would agree. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're trying to just dip their toe, and you can kind of tell that it's not really well thought out, or even it's a very fearful dip toe. So
exactly, it's like, what's the point?
Yes. So yes, I think we would both agree. I think most people would agree. You need a social media presence as a brand. Yes. But I think you really need to boost up your people, meaning your employees, meaning your team. You're, putting some power and some, guidelines and some effort into them to also tell your brand story onto potentially their own channels, because this comes back to my, this foundation that I think is so important for brands and for people that are operating social media. It's a human to human play here. It's a human to human thing we're trying to do on social media. We're trying to connect in real ways. And yes, it's not the same, one Twitter account talking to another Twitter account. It's not the same as, you and me having a conversation in real life. But that's as close as we're going to get. And this is where the conversations happen on social media. So you need to really be thinking of your brand as an individual with a voice, with a tone, with a, with a persona of some kind. And then giving your team, your employees, or people that are part of your brand, empowering them with tools to be able to help stand up your brand as well online, so they can speak to it on their Instagram account, so they can speak to what the work that they do on their Twitter account, so they can do all of these things on their platforms on LinkedIn and tout the great work that they're doing within your walls, because that just that just helps the overall brand. But studies go back forever of the individual telling the brand story, how much that resonates way more with somebody, looking for insight into a brand. So if your friend is telling you about the company they work for, that goes a lot further than if, I just have a brand account feeding me information. I don't know how much I can trust there. The trust comes from the person I know who works there. I know it's reputable. If I know this person, if they're talking about where they work on LinkedIn and, oh, that's my friend, I trust them, then, I probably look at the brand a little bit different way, because I have this relationship through this person I know. That's just where I think a lot of social media is going. Yes, you need a brand account, but it's really, really strategic to look at the people you work with, work for, employ, to help tell your brand story as well.
Yeah. And do you think that maybe you're more likely to see an update from a friend from the brand rather than from the brand itself? Would that happen, do you think?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because personal accounts and creator accounts are, depending on what platform we're talking about here, but Yes, when it's an individual account, it cuts through, quote unquote algorithm so much easier than a brand account. The brand accounts classically across the board do not get as much reach, do not get as much engagement as individual accounts. And, granted, I know not every employee is wanting to be out there, cheerleading their company. Great, fine. But, as somebody who has led an organization's employee brand ambassador program, I know the value. Millions of dollars in recruitment, millions of dollars in media value, millions of dollars in brand value that can bring to a brand by giving people, your talent, your team, your employees, content, messaging, what's going on, communication, what's going on with your company, giving them that information and letting them tell your story. It is so powerful.
I agree. So what brands do you think are doing a really good job
with that?
Yeah. Who's leading the way? Who should we look at as a great example?
Well, I might be biased, but I think Atrium Health does an incredible job, because I think it really resides initially with your leadership, executives, C-suite has to buy in
to understand. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's really, you're not going to go anywhere unless if you get their approval, unfortunately.
So very true. So yeah, that's where you can really start with something like that, is getting the upper level to buy in and to help tell that story. And then it trickles down from there, because, you follow the leader, and if your leader is doing something, then you hopefully want to do it too. So that's a really good, that's a really good brand that's doing it really well. And I think that's where just more things are going, just because brands aren't getting as much reach, as much engagement as individual accounts are. I mean, we see it across the board. I think LinkedIn is the newest platform member to join this kind of creator economy and to boost up this creator. They have a whole creator accelerator program, which is fascinating. I know, somebody who's gone through that program. So, it's not just TikTok. It's not just Instagram that's catering to this. I think it's all platforms across the board, because that's where they recognize that people are really engaging with that kind of content.
So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, because I think you're right. It's kind of like the last one to the party, although maybe they'll throw the party and everyone will be like, wow, we wish we would have thought of that. But what's going on over at LinkedIn?
So many things. I am so excited about LinkedIn. I don't know if I, maybe 2 years ago, if I heard myself saying this now, I might be like, Katie, what is going on? But yeah, LinkedIn is exciting these days. A lot of people wouldn't think. And I think when I'm, talking to clients, or, talking to, new people, people in my sphere, I mention LinkedIn, and sometimes, their eyes roll, your eyes glaze over. That's that's the snooze fest platform. That's the dull, boring platform. And it's really not. They are doing a really good job about, the content that they're, giving, they're allowing to be seen in feeds. They're doing some really innovative things from a feature standpoint. That it's really refreshing over on LinkedIn. I will tell you, it's a completely different audience than you're going to find. Maybe not necessarily a different audience, but just a different feel. It's like the Ritz-Carlton of social media platforms. It's
That's my phrase, because I know some people call it the khaki pants of social networking, but maybe they're at the Ritz-Carlton. I don't know.
Do you have to wear khaki pants in the Ritz? I don't know.
But I do. I stayed at Laguna Niguel once for a conference. And I know that if you wear a swimsuit, you have to wear a cover up. So that's as much as I know about the Ritz-Carlton.
Well, yes, it's the khaki and cover up platform, but still, regardless of what you have to wear on LinkedIn, the undertone is money, is transactions,
you get that feeling. Yeah, it's much more abundant and professional. It just feels more grown up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you can really, if that's where, if that's where you're trying to go, if that's what you're trying to do is make some sales, get your name out there, do some things, get notoriety. Yeah, you can do it on all platforms. But I would say if you can only do one, and this is how I work in my one-on-one clients, this is how I work. We're picking one platform in my coaching clients and consulting work. We're picking one platform and we're going all in for 3 months. So
That's really smart.
it's not this, because that's the first question I get from people. Katie, what platform should I be on? What should it's really 2 questions, but one of them is, what platform should I be on? And at first we got to start, with base level foundation, who are you? What do you do? Messaging, all of that work first. Then let's work into, okay, what platforms speak to your strengths? What platforms, really, have your audience? What platforms do you just naturally like? Because I will tell you, if you just cannot absolutely stand LinkedIn, I don't care what I do, you're not going to touch that thing. So
that's true. Yeah. People.
Yeah, so let's figure out what maybe you're more inclined to go and try out and actually stick with, because that's the whole problem, is it's just trying to stick with something for 3 months and see if we can get some analytics, we can, have something measurable and something we can fall back on of like seeing progress. But if I had to steer, and I do quite regularly right now, steer clients into one platform right now, I would say 9 times out of 10 LinkedIn, if we had to pick one, because you can just I just think you can make just bigger strides with the right audience right now. If you're trying to get sales, if you're trying to, grow a brand and a business.
Yeah, it's a place where you can make sure you look good, who you're going to talk to, what you're going to talk about. So I think if anything, I don't know if you would think this, but it's a great place for people to really get their business head on straight, so it really kind of frames up their business too.
100%. I completely agree with you.
Like those people who you say, who's your product for? Everybody. And you're like, okay, well, we got some work to do here. So,
Yes.
So you mentioned human to human social media connection, and you talk about a new wave of realness and vulnerability and fun. So you don't say authenticity, which is great, because I hear that, I've been hearing that word for years, which is okay. I do think realness and vulnerability are much more intriguing. So could you tell us a little bit about how we can be more real and more vulnerable and also have more fun?
I think this is all spawned, this new wave has really all spawned from short form video. I mean, to pull us full circle here, and TikTok, because what TikTok brought us is real. So that's, for anybody listening who might not be familiar with TikTok, if you open up the app and you go to TikTok.com on your desktop, which you can now, you would just get a sense that these are real people in their living room. It's not aesthetically put together. The lighting's not perfect. They don't necessarily have the full face of makeup, the cutest outfit. It doesn't matter. You're just pressing record and going and speaking your mind or doing your dance or whatever. And it's just really, really refreshing. And that's how TikTok took off in the pandemic, because people were looking for this connection, looking for this realness, looking for, just a shared experience, because we weren't having it in real life. We were all home. We were all, just trying to keep our heads on straight. And, TikTok was there for a lot of us in an entertainment way, in a real way, in a raw way. And so that kind of feel and vulnerability and just realness, unfiltered, has really spilled out, given Instagram and Reels has taken so many features and just ripped them straight off of TikTok, and so much of a look and feel. So I see that seeping out on all sides, to Instagram, to LinkedIn, people telling kind of just more real world situations on LinkedIn. It plays out from a you'll see posts all the time, my business failed and this is what I learned from it. You just kind of things that are like, okay, let's talk about the real, like we're
Right.
all, we had a shared collective
Mhm.
tough time, as in the world. And I think that really sparked so much of this, and TikTok, that came through TikTok, and now it's kind of playing out elsewhere with people feeling more in tune with, themselves, and
Mhm.
then really wanting to express that online. That's my take on it. That's how I feel. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, Kate, I think it's really hard for people to be real and vulnerable.
Mm.
When I talk to people, they're like, I can never be on video. And so I think that's something you have to get over. But I agree with you. I mean, that's what people like. And I love your TikToks. I mean, the one where you're going up that hill and you show the hill and it doesn't look that big, but I'll tell you what, when we moved to Charlotte from Chicago, those hills don't look that big until you try to go up them. And it is tough. It's tough. It's kind of funny because I'm like, oh, that's not a big deal. Yeah, it is. So, the way you show to look at the 3 blocks up or the 3 sidewalk squares up, that's all the farther you go, and you're sweaty. I'm going to just say it because you're working out. But to think about, some people could never do that. But I feel like maybe it's time to really think about how do you strip away that film and just be who you are. And that's how people are going to really relate to you best, maybe.
You nailed it. That I
Uh,
can't tell you how many times people have, it's not just me, it happens all the
Yeah.
time, but how many times people have brought up things like that. So yeah, like Barbara
Yeah.
mentioned, so it was a video I put on TikTok and my personal Instagram
Mhm.
reels. It was me sweaty. I was in the middle of my run in the summer heat. I was on a sidewalk. I do a regular run. I have a route I do,
Yeah.
and there's just this kind of low grade hill, and I cannot stand it every time I come to the foot of that thing, and I'm like, I got to get through this. And so it was just a lesson in taking it chunks at a time, and that's what I spoke about in the reel. But I was sweaty, I had my hat on, there was no cuteness to it, and I was just face to camera, face to phone, just giving this lesson because I just had this thought that other people could use the lesson of take it bit by bit. You'll get to the top of the mountain if you just take it bit by bit. And things like that is so true. That's what people resonate with. And
Yeah.
it's refreshing because we've come from this world of pristine and
Mhm.
Instagram filtered, and everything's perfect on LinkedIn. I have the most perfect, on Facebook I have a perfect house, perfect family, and LinkedIn perfect business, everything's great. I make millions of dollars. And I think it's just nice to show humanity a bit of just realness and sweatiness, whatever. And back to your point of people can't, it's tough for people to get there and
Mhm.
show themselves in those ways. I will tell you, when I work with clients too, it's repetition. It's working a content muscle. I don't even know if that makes sense. But if
It does.
after you
Yeah.
do it over and over, you get to a point of like, I don't even care anymore. Like that, I was sweaty as anything. I'm dripping. Oh well, it really is this sense of you do it so much, but you have to start. Like you have to start and try, and it's not going to be perfect when you first put out your your short form video of you talking on camera or whatever it is that's really kind of raw for you, and you got to like just rip that band-aid off. It's not going to be perfect at first, but you just got to keep after it. And it truly is that kind of first 24 hours that you're like, ooh, and it's cringing. You're like, I cannot believe I just did that. But once you
Mhm.
get over that hump and you just keep with it and keep doing it, you'll be out there doing sweaty videos in no time.
Yeah, people probably won't like the ones where you look good and you're all cleaned up.
All right.
Yeah, because I can't
Who's this
imagine.
person?
Yeah, yeah. If you did that video and you're sitting in your nice studio saying, well, when I go out and run, that doesn't really make it's out of context. So yeah, you have to really show them the other side of the screen. So
Very
yeah.
true.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for being real, Katie.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Thank you,
true.
Barbara.
Yeah.
I've seen you real in many ways too, and I appreciate it as well. Just it's important. I think it's what people like to see, that they connect with, and that's what it's all about. It's just being human and connecting with people online.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I know you work with a lot of different peoples and companies. Can you just take a couple minutes and tell us what you do and what kind of results you achieve? Why do people work with you? I know why I would want to work with you, but if you want to tell us, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So I do coaching, social media consulting. I craft creative social media solutions for growing brands. So I work with everyone from solopreneurs to larger organizations where I can come in, work with your internal team. I have that corporate background from a social media perspective, and I know how to put together your process, metrics, content, how to make that all streamlined across a larger organization. But also I know how to work with the solopreneur who might not have a clue, and I can make you your own social media expert for your brand, and we can work together. I have a one-on-one coaching program that's 3 months, and basically we go through everything from your brand statement, your brand, messaging, to your content pillars, to your content calendar, to what kind of content are you making, to what platform should you be on, your metrics, all of it, your audience, your engagement strategy, all of those things to make and empower people to share their brilliance on social media and to connect with who they need to be connecting with online to grow their brand. That's what I do. I also have custom workshops that I love to do. That's everything from short form video. I've done TikTok workshops, Reels workshops. And I just love coming in and teaching people. It's really as fun for me as showing you what buttons to press on your phone to make this thing pop up.
That might sound silly, but it's really important, because I watched one of your videos on Instagram about all the ways you could do captions. And I'm like, if you had somebody sitting there showing you how to do it, it would just be almost comforting. That's probably not the right word, but it's like you need somebody to hold your phone and show you how to do things.
Somehow I have kind of molded these things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about social media, clearly, but I have a teaching heart, a teacher heart. My mom, my grandmother, my aunt, all were teachers. I was going to be a teacher. I was getting my master's of education to be a teacher. And I dipped out after starting to be a student teacher, because I was like, this is not for me. I love what y'all do, but I am not as good of teachers. I think they are the most brilliant people in the world. But this is how I can get that teaching spirit out of me, is I can show people how to use social media. So yeah, I will get as tactical as, what buttons to press, how to get this caption to pop up, what to do on LinkedIn to make a newsletter, all those things, to big strategy and what should we be doing in 2023 work, like all of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's really a broad look, and I really appreciate all the work you're doing for all of us, and thank you for doing such great posts. I even learned one thing, like you were talking about an event with speakers, to have a slide, and I have a lot of listeners and friends who are speakers. So yeah, the speakers, I think you said headshot, and then the bio should be in like a carousel, or you could even put like, I guess, their program. But I hadn't thought of that. So that was really good to know, because if you're going to be promoting something, why not use the space you've got?
That's exactly right. You can get so creative with these platforms and really use them to your advantage. That's what they're there for. They're your free stage, your free place to put out your message at scale. So let's use them.
Exactly. So where can we find you online, Katie?
Yeah, I'm at katiemckiever.com, and that's where you can go. There is a place on that website where you can sign up for my newsletter. And what that is weekly. I put out the latest and the most important platform updates. So if you want to stay up to date on the social media platforms, the latest in the algorithms, let me do that work for you. Sign up for my email newsletter. I will send that information to you every week so you can be informed and don't feel like you have to be overwhelmed by all of these updates, because they're happening all the time. I would love to have you as a subscriber. And katiemckiever.com or Katie McKiever on most all social media channels too. You can find me. I would love to have you as a follower, and send me a message. I would love to hear from you.
And really, folks, you should do that, because there is so much going on with social media. It's a wonderful place to be, but I can tell you that things do change. She's not kidding. There's going to be another, after we record this interview, I press stop. Things have already been changing while we've been talking. So Katie, at the end of each episode, I ask my guests for their word of the day. So what would you say your word of the day would be today?
Empathy just came to me. I think just being empathetic to each other and to our world. I think that's a core value of myself. I think that's what helps me, with my, with helping other people, my clients, my family, my friends. I really just want to come to people with an empathetic heart. And I don't know, that's resonating with me right now.
Well, I love that. And you are truly empathetic. And it's always great to see you, even though we're just looking at each other on the screen and we're doing a podcast. I hope our paths cross again soon. And I hope that you all really enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and that you do follow Katie, go visit her website, connect with her on social media, leave a comment if you want somebody who can help you really figure out how to press those buttons. And believe me, there's more than you ever could have known. She's a person you need to reach out to. So thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Barbara Rozgonyi, your conversation show host at Growing Social Now, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.